Well, we see an empire crushed, and that was my Star Wars intro theme for the Post Osama Binladen world. Because an evil empire represented by the Bin Laden crime family is at the present time being crushed, with three factions emerging. The Bin Laden crime family, the core of it, the rump of what is left of the Al-Qaeda in Pakistan and Afghanistan, which Osama bin Laden's wife has said is split into three groups. The core Al-Qaeda of Afghanistan and Pakistan, which has been had its funding cut off from the Saudi Arabians and the Bin Laden crime families, and also the different affiliates from Yemen and the Maghreb. So we can see a rapid change of fortunes for Al-Qaeda. Once they were able to topple buildings in the west and cities and demolish them, and also they may have demolished the buildings on 9/11 by using corridor of fear tactics, as I've said in my 346 videos. This video is an introduction to my channel. So hello YouTube. This is Info Kemp channel, and I deal mostly with South Africa. My channel should be called Africana WikiLeaks because that is what my main focus is on. But I also cover the fight against the Saudi and Binladen crime families, and I have a current events channel. I also will be doing more martial arts videos in the future, such as I've written a book on jiu-jitsu and boxing to make my own fighting system, and I've also developed an English constitution. So follow my videos. So this video, as you can see, is titled Wow, 147,286 upload views. So let's cover some recent news though on May the 6th, because we can now live more safely in a post-Bin Laden world, I believe, although ironically, as the Americans said, an attack is imminent. But many of my South African videos have been featured, and I have covered the death of Eugene Terre-Blanche, trying to be very balanced on that, and also on the subject of Africana WikiLeaks, which is to develop an organisation to get media recognition for the genocide that's going on against the Afrikaner and Boer peoples, and also against the black Xhosa people of South Africa by the Zulu minority government of Julius Malema and Jacob Zuma. Over 1 million people have left South Africa. Perhaps 52,000 Boer families have been killed, so that will number nearly 1 million people have been killed or assaulted or raped in South Africa. So I deal with some quite heavy subjects. It's not a comedy channel, although I do have some comedy vids on my channel. Check out also Minoon's 1999's channel. He has some very good vids, and I will now read to you a email which covers the AV subject. He was against the AV election, Minoon 1999, because he's a conservative and he's first past the post. What was my view of the elections? Well, as my email says, well, Labour retook Sheffield, and that was a good result for me. Your Conservatives still stood still in most of England, but you did gain a few seats. I agree with you that the Lib Dems got crushed. Why? Because they betrayed their voters by joining the Conservatives in a manifesto no one voted for. For me, AV was just a stepping stone to proportional representation, which is a system I would prefer to have as it is used in Germany and most European countries. Although AV is very good and it allows you to rate candidates in order of preference, e.g. like myself, I'm a patriotic Englishman, moderate English nationalist and a social democrat, so I would rate Labour first and the English Democrats second. But the nation has spoken, And it is either because of David Cameron's lies about AV, or they considered AB inferior to first past the post. And I think mine in 1999 would agree with that one. Or they just didn't understand it. I would say the third option, although that makes me sound like an arrogant elitist. Still, I do hold that opinion. I think with Osama bin Laden dead and the economy in the UK still trying to recover living standards back to pre-2008 levels, I think people are likely to be distracted away from a thorough study of AV. But that said, I would still say that we who are would say that as we who are pro AV lost, and you know how I voted. As for the SNP, I do not hate them. I know you do hate them, and I understand that you may have cultural and historical reasons living so close to potentially independent Scotland, as well as political reasons. But for me, many of the SNP policies that I know of I agree with, such as free education and health provision and Scottish independence. Since we are all going to be in the EU anyway, and I want an English Parliament. All the best, InfoCamp. So there you get the breadth of some of my topics, and also I cover the Federal Reserve question of whether the Federal Reserve is pumping out inflation and exporting it to other countries so that the EU and England are having to pay for America's debt, which I believe so. They are also pumping money into the petrodollar system, which is helping, indirectly, feudalist crime families to adapt to American economic policy, such as the Bin Ladens and Saudis, because they own the oil and the oil spigot, and also have vast amounts of wealth in construction and Islamic banking systems, which all are connected to the petrodollar and the flow of dollars out of the Federal Reserve. So every time America tries to do something, these people are trying to adapt. I'm not saying it's conspiracy or anything. I do believe that the Bin Ladens did 9/11 on their own. I believe they used corridor of fear tactics to frighten the guards, and may have used demolition charges as well as hijacking the planes and flying them into the buildings. So there you get an overview of my channel, and I hope you will subscribe to InfoCamp channel. Also, what has happened in Syria recently and Libya? Well, the Syrians have upped their crusade, their crushing of the democratic forces in Syria. Up to 500 people have been killed already, and possibly hundreds more have been killed over the weekend, while everybody else was looking at the death of Osama bin Laden and was focusing on that. In Syria, the quest and the struggle for democracy is continuing, and I believe it will be the Arab Spring the Arab awakening for democracy that will finally destroy AlQueada and the grip of authoritarian and feudalist families over the different states of Arabia, and possibly even the totalitarian Islamic Republic of Iran. I show my worldview in many videos, such as Europe, the subtle hyperpower. Praise be for Julius Malema, calls the BBC bastards. Also, I have videos on the subjects of South Africa, as I mentioned, and also the development of a Western currency such as the Euro and the Westmark, which is my own idea for a Western currency for all the Western nations. I want to have a middle road between extreme nationalism and extreme globalism, where nations have national sovereignty but are within unions, and unions of European nations such as North America and Europe can challenge China and stop China taking over the world.